It was a story like all others. I was super enthusiastic. I was very excited. I was imagining all of these materialistic things, how my life could change, how I could live on a beach, how I could drive Lambos, have indefinite Rolexes, ugly designer clothing, everything. After studying all the theory, thinking I knew everything, thinking I was better than the Goldman Sachs traders, I very quickly understood that this is very, very difficult and the losses started piling up. You didn't know where you were, emotionality hit, you started questioning your existence. Is this even for me? Do I even know what the hell I'm doing? Why is this so hard? Because I didn't have something very specific, an edge to call my own, something that would actually differentiate me from other traders. It's not going to be throw a moving average or price action on any chart and find the truth, right? You have to have a deeper understanding of why and how the market moves, and that's something that I have found out over the past few years, but it is based on volume. So what I'm going to be breaking down today is something that is working for me and something that's specific to me, and I want to share that with you and how you can find that one thing that can be compatible with your person as a trading, your strategy, whatever it is to help you flip that switch. There are a lot of things out there that can help you get better. One of the main things is that people don't even understand what they're doing wrong, and a lot of people quit before they know what they're doing wrong, right? That is one of the biggest mistakes in trading. Quitting before you even understand what you're doing wrong, you're not giving yourself a fair chance, and a lot of people do fail based on that, and they can't flip that switch and find that one thing that does actually work for them. So if you're in that position, you have to start thinking, right? Am I journaling enough? Do I actually understand what I'm doing wrong so I can look for something that can help me become better? The missing piece for me, realistically, in my edge was having a very defined strategy and understanding how market participants actually move. The edge isn't the strategy itself, right? That is just a tool. The edge is actually being able to follow that strategy as close as I can as to a robotic function without any emotionality, right? And being able to deliver on that strategy. My edge is trying to make the strategy as systematic as possible so I don't make the mistakes of mixing emotions in that. But in order to even get to that point, you have to have a defined strategy. Something concrete, X, Y, Z, and you execute based on that. And that's the raw data of the market, volume, right? Volume is something that moves price, and understanding how volume enters and exits the market and talking about liquidity is something that you can develop into a trading edge. I'm sharing with you guys my thoughts and what actually worked for me. This was my missing piece that turned everything around. Understanding that I'm gonna have to start from the basics and build up. Understanding why price moves is volume. Fairly simple in that regard. This was my edge in the market, being able to understand how price moves based on the rawest form of data out there, which is order flow and volume. Understanding that and building a huge concept around that, building a strategy around that, and as an operator, being able to follow that the majority of the time is what turned my trading from maybe 50-40% profitability to something around 60 to 70%. And of course, if someone claims that there's a strategy out there that works 80, 90, 100% of the time, it's probably BS. You have to understand that the operator is at fault the majority of the time, but at the same time, a lot of the strategies are not necessarily based on the right information. Now, you have to understand if the operator doesn't perform, the strategy is just as good as any other strategy out there, right? You level the playing field very easily if you can't manage the emotions and manage the ability to actually operate a strategy in a system as it's meant to be operated. That can be an edge in itself, and a lot of people are very, very good at that risk management portion or even just following their strategy, and that's something that can turn their trading, even if the strategy is not that great, into something massive. Now, the reality of the situation is you can define a trading edge in many, many different ways, whether it's, again, like the operator, whether it's the system itself, whether it's being able to follow just one specific trading strategy, whatever the case is, an edge can be defined in many ways, and it does vary a lot from trader to trader. Some traders have a massive stop, some traders have a very tight stop and are able to cut losers quickly and let winners run, and it's something that has to be defined on your own by understanding where your strong suits lie rather than your weaknesses. What we want to do is just minimize and kind of throw away the weaknesses and really focus on what we're really good at and amplify that as much as we can. Now, obviously, no matter how big the strength is, if the weakness is very large, you can really succumb to larger losses. But realistically, if we can minimize the negative parts and amplify what you're good at, that in itself can build something very promising for you as a trader. The basis of what I do is trying to eliminate discretion as much as possible. I found something that works on a lot of fronts that can be actually translated to many different assets, and it's based on volume and auction theory. Understanding auction theory, distribution theory, volume, order flow is understanding the basis of how the markets actually operate on the very most raw, foundational piece of information that the market offers you, right? Volume is what moves price. If there's going to be 10 million buyers that start buying into something with no sellers, the market will go up. If it's the exact opposite, the market will go down. And being able to actually identify that and discern that is a huge aspect in trading. That's why I've littered this whole channel with volume analysis, order flow, especially for futures trading. We also have a free course on our website. If you go check that out, TRADEPROacademy.com, and it's just all free information giving you the basics of the theory, which I think is available everywhere. You just have to understand it and be able to actually practice it to apply it. My whole system is volume-based, based on distribution, right? I've backtested it countlessly. I've tested it in a live environment, in a simulated environment countlessly, and it returns probably about 60 to 70% of profitability, right? Meaning that out of 10 times, I'll probably be right maybe 6 or 7 times. Now, even if you're only right 5 times, understand the risk management and a 2-to-1 risk to reward and even higher, which is very possible in this strategy, is something that can actually earn money in the long run and consistency. But again, it comes down to the operator. There's a lot of strategies boosting out there that they have 80, 90% profitability, and I just don't necessarily believe that. I think is BS. I think very good professional traders in derivative markets are somewhere around 50 to 70% in terms of percent profitability. Now, this whole strategy, obviously, we're looking for a larger than 2-to-1 risk to reward, which amplifies those gains. And even sometimes we can stretch it to a 5-to-1 or a 7-to-1, a 10-to-1. It's very possible when you understand the raw data and how markets actually move, where there's buyers, where there's sellers, and even quote-unquote predicting market moves based on analysis on volume. My strategy allows me to focus on volume analysis, distribution theory, or auction theory, call it what you will. That allows me to focus on areas of balance or imbalance in the market, right? Areas of compression versus expansion, where markets range or where they actually trend. And when we do that, I look for maybe 2 to 5 very good trades on a weekly basis that make up for everything realistically. And a lot of these trades are maybe 5-to-1, 10-to-1 risk to reward. That is where the edge comes in. Being able to say that you don't have to necessarily trade every day and understand where you trade big and where you trade small based on the system. I can combine that distribution theory with other aspects of volume analysis, whether it's depth of market when we talk about futures trading, right? Or just being very stringent with my areas of entry based on the volume analysis. The whole point of this is I was able to find one missing piece that found consistency and built confidence in my trading, in my strategy. And I think that piece of information is out there for everyone, right? We have a lot of volume analysis stuff that's just littered everywhere on our channel and on our website with our free course if you want to go check that out. But all in all, I think everyone needs to understand that hopping from strategy to strategy is not going to be the missing piece. You're not going to find the holy grail if you consistently jump around from indicator to indicator. I think everyone's holy grail starts with a solid foundation, and that solid foundation is understanding how markets actually move based on participant volume. So you can start with a very basic volume profile and build your way up. Everyone also has their own defined edge, and that's something that you can build towards. I shared with you mine and what my thought process was in creating all of this, and I want you guys to go and explore that after you understand the basics of futures trading. So I really hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I hope if you're new to this channel, you go and check out the other videos that I've been talking about based on order flow and whatnot. But if you're not new to this channel, you know how important this is to my strategy, and there's a reason as to why I continuously talk about it. So I want you guys to check out TRADEPROacademy.com for that free futures trading course, and drop a comment down below. What do you guys think your holy grail is? Now, like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.